Well, good evening and welcome to Mountain Bears. I think we're live this time. Are we live? It looks to be that we're live.
Yay!
Let me get the socials moving and you tell us about your week so far.
Well, it's been interesting. That seems to be the theme for 2020, isn't it? So like many in our audience, had a sleep study this week. That was kind of a surprise. Had been kind of waiting that one to pop up to schedule, and apparently they did it on a, hey, we had a cancellation. Can you do tonight?
Yeah.
So did that Wednesday night. That was not exactly what I expected. I don't know. I pictured it being a lot more hospital-y, like different movies have portrayed sleep studies.
Well,
this was more like
to where it's more like come sleep over while we sell you on our crap. But
well, you know, hello, Brenda. But no, it was a little more like meh hotel room.
Yeah.
Like 3-star, maybe.
Yeah. 2.
Yeah. With like adjoining bathroom. That was a little weird. The Jack and Jill bathroom thing with
yeah.
That was a little weird. That was a little weird. But
no, a lot of people think that the sleep study and all that is the miracle thing, and it's like, no, it isn't. It's a kickback setting.
Hello, Mika. Well, so far we haven't gotten my results, so we don't know what they're going to come back with. We weren't really expecting anything. It was more like exclusionary. Like, let's go ahead and, see if like spaghetti at a wall kind of moment. So, yeah.
We'll see.
But yeah. So how about your week?
It's been a little intense, a little crazy. You guys will notice that I've been kind of quiet in some areas of social media. That's because we were doing a test that'll last for another 2 weeks on the network. So I'm going to start back my social media campaigns this week on Sunday. But it's been really intense. I mean, we've been putting in a lot of work. There's a lot of clients. We've got 5 planets in retrograde. So I promise you, if your zodiac is even happy, it's going to bring up some stuff. So, I'm making myself very available. We did release our COVID-19 policy for Aeson's advisors. And we're doing our first reopening tomorrow at the Crystal Lotus shop. Hey, Mark.
Hello, Mark. I was going over to see what he's posted. Because Mark always posts cool stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, especially his garden videos. We were debating that earlier today.
Yeah, it does look like he puts out a pretty big garden.
Well, he does. But, he's so ahead of us, and I'm like, it's got to be his zone. He's got to be in a different zone than we are.
Yeah, that we were kind of... Oh, and I'm sorry, because I'm pulling this up. Stop that. Stop.
Yeah.
Cannot get the...
his garden videos. We were debating that earlier today.
I am so sorry, guys. I can't get that to mute. There we go, finally. Okay. Tiggy Wiggy Bum Bum, and yeah, we've Tom Hanks in Forrest Gump doing the hey Bubba wave. Yeah, awesome. Sorry, we don't. Yeah. Sorry, there's big elevation difference as well. But we were also having that debate in terms of like, that's kind of the difference between West Virginia and Virginia. Is Virginia, most of it, pretty good for farming. West Virginia, well, you can do it.
Yeah, it takes a little work.
Yeah, it's like you got to wait for everything to, quit snowing, thaw out, the flooding rains to stop. Then you have to hope that it's not a, giant, massive, hot, no rain summer followed by an early winter, Like,
Yeah.
you can have a real crap time being doing gardens in West Virginia. It can go real sideways real quick.
Yeah, and we've had some flooding, so we've been watching it.
And hail. We've had tons of hail.
What the heck?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
I want to know which person in West Virginia, which witch is pissed off that you decided to call in, the time
Hey, I
of
don't.
Moses.
I think we're all the way back to the Moses car dealership there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like, who'd you tick off, man? Who'd you tick off?
Yeah. Who you tick off? We'll
Find out later.
It's been linked to a few houses of worship, two in Greenbrier County.
Yeah, I know. It's horrible that all these pagan places of worship are coming down with COVID-19. Oh, wait. That's not where that's happening at.
Yeah.
Had to throw that in there. Oh. Well, hail can be bad for plants. Yeah. It can be very destructive. But yeah, so anyway, take it away on houses of worship.
Yes, there's been 3 churches now connected with it. And, we're like, okay, we got the memo. We canceled festivals. We've canceled events. We're live streaming Samhains. We're, other covens are live streaming their full moon rituals. I've been live streaming classes.
Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, it seemed like the pagan community got it.
We know this one. We study our history. And, we've moved forward. I did find it interesting.
Oh, that's what started Fairmont's.
Your outbreak?
Sorry, guys.
We connected this to trips to Myrtle Beach, and it's like,
yes.
Who the hell is taking a vacation in this economy?
You never know.
Again, what the heck, people? But there's another.
Dollywood is closed.
Huh?
Right? Dollywood is closed. Great Smoky Mountains is closed. These are your choices in West Virginia. Like, you tell me. Everyone goes one of 2 directions. They're either headed to Myrtle Beach or they're going to Great Smoky Mountains or, specifically Dollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's it. That's where everyone goes on vacation. Like, bing.
Mm-hmm.
You want to run into your neighbors, pick one.
No. We've been seeing enough of them.
Oh, church celebration for their preacher's anniversary. Yeah.
So, guys, please be safe. Please wear your mask. If you book an appointment with me, I do recommend you having a mask.
Very much do we ever. We've gone short of throwing that out as a hard requirement.
Yes.
Like we pulled back there a little bit on that part. We went with strongly suggested. We tried to explain why. We are hoping you love your favorite psychic and you're not going to try to kill him. So yeah. But that's gotten a lot of feedbacks and it's all been positive.
Yeah, it has. And that even in like my professional communities, the organizations I pay money to that haven't come up with standards yet, I've gotten a lot of feedback of positivity there. So that's cool. But starting tomorrow, you can book an appointment with me 1 day in advance for a live appointment. You don't have to wait for me to be at Crystal Lotus because my office is there. So if you want to book a live appointment, you can do so. You still have phone, video, text, chat. I think I do everything with smoke screens because I even still have an offer to mail you a reading. That has been
really?
Yeah.
I know we do it with some of the reports, like the astrology charts and stuff like that, but I didn't know we were still doing mail-in readings.
Yeah, if they want it mailed, I'll mail it to them.
Aww.
You
break out the typewriter for that?
Actually, if I have to, it's up in the attic. The original is up in the attic. Grandmother's little. She traded 2 months of laundry work for a typewriter.
Oh.
And it's up in the attic somewhere. It needs to go into the archives one of these days. Well,
it needs to go on the shelf behind you.
It won't fit.
Oh.
It's an old typewriter.
Oh.
Like she had to slap the sucker.
Okay, well it'll fit on that shelf.
Okay.
I think.
Well, once you find
I'm trying to think back. I mean, unless it's far different than what I think it is.
It's black with gold keys. It's about that wide, about that high.
Yeah, that might work.
Yeah, okay.
Put it on the structural support beam.
Yeah.
Because those suckers are heavy if it's the cast iron models.
Yep.
Because I think those were cast iron.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, those weigh a metric ton. My mom had one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Worst part about that is if you're too good of a typist, you could jam the thing up.
Especially if you don't slap it hard enough.
No. The keys. Because it had the little, like, everything was spread out in that arc.
Right.
If you hit your keys too fast, you cross them, and it would jam. Yeah. That was one of the things that got Mom. She was a high-speed typist, and she could type faster than it could reset.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of funny every time it happened.
Very. But no, we start that back tomorrow at 1. I will be taking walk-ins with the understanding that there may be delays because there has to now be a 15-minute cleaning process between readings.
Yep, because it's not really a 15-minute cleaning process. The cleaning is probably going to be like 5, and then 10 to let everything dry out, air out, and get, not wet for the next person.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, there was a few news stories that kind of got me this week that we talk about. First was the cop having the meltdown.
Yeah. Apparently that is becoming a very common story. That's one that you now have to pretty much define by which cop meltdown.
Stacy.
Okay.
Yeah. They've traced her name. I'm not going to release her full name. Yeah. But we've had this problem with the McDonald's app before.
Well, yeah, and so far I've used the app exactly once, and it didn't.
Yeah.
It took my order. I showed up. I went to hit the little button to go, I'm here, and it said this location is closed until 11:59 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, what?
Yeah.
Clearly open.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly open.
Right. Now, granted, there was a story the day before that I'm quite sure every policeman in the country read that Shake Shack attempted to poison 4 officers. It turned out that it was a problem with cleaning their milkshake machine, and it wasn't just the 4 officers.
Every other customer as well.
Every customer, apparently. But you have those mistakes in food. Mm-hmm. When people are working stress, working long hours, working in an environment that, you need to get this done, but Johnny says that you need to go over and work fries because they need a fry worker. And, so I can see that happening, and then I can understand her frustration. Plus, we don't know how long she was up.
Well, but moreover, we also don't know with some of these employees how new they are. Mm-hmm. Because remember, a lot of businesses shut down and basically fired employees.
Right.
So they didn't have to have those carrying costs of keeping employees, or employees moved on effectively.
Right.
They've gone elsewhere. They've gotten hired on elsewhere. So there's kind of been a shuffle.
Right.
Because I know even when we've gone out the little bit we have to get drive-through, we're seeing lots of new faces,
Yeah.
like everywhere. Um, so a lot of employees may not have, the experience, especially if they're coming from one, type of one fast food restaurant to another.
Right.
Like if you're moving from like, Taco Bell to McDonald's, there's some differences there.
Well, not only that, but some shake machines are auto cleaners.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, this one wasn't. But anyhow, they latched onto the story. It was filling up on my Twitter. It was blowing up my Facebook. People sharing this false narrative that employees at Shake Shack tried to kill New York PD. So I can understand that hype, and then her right behind that hype having this issue and having a meltdown because she's a night shift worker. I would say probably 7, 8 o'clock in the morning that she made her video, because by 11 it was hitting us. So I understand where she's at, and this brings up a really good point, because night shift workers need to be in bed. You start emotionally dropping because your body is trying to go to sleep.
Yeah. But then there's also the other part of this story, is you also have lots of officers and even nurses that are now afraid to wear their work uniforms outside of work, because they're being targeted.
Right, but I think that nurses, like, I don't know where nurses ever got this idea, and it became out of fashion to wear your uniform outside of work.
Yeah. Well, it became in fashion to wear your uniform outside of work. No, and that's a really important point in that, is that does create kind of a different scenario.
Right.
But it also brings up the point that a lot of the ways that you identify officers and nurses is by uniform, or especially in the case of a police officer, is by vehicle. It's kind of big on the side, police.
Why are they
lights help
outside of work?
But yeah, but the point being made in a lot of situations is, so far you've been, you have felt targeted or have been targeted for just a few weeks now, and you are already literally losing your shit. Imagine what that does to someone over a lifetime.
Yeah.
Imagine what that's like, because even like, let's take the Shake Shack incident. Okay, right now, these are 4 officers that felt like they were being poisoned as a direct action because they're officers. Imagine walking around through the world not knowing what someone's problem is or could be with you. Did you get that job, or did you not get that job because of how you look, i.e. your skin color? Did you not get that job because you're a woman? Did you not get that job because you looked like you might be pregnant, or you mentioned having a family, or, like, these things start to add up over time. Like, these officers are just a couple of weeks in on this, and they are flipping the fuck out.
Right, because they've gone from that point of hello officer to hey bud. But also I have major problems with nurses wearing uniforms outside of work. Especially going to work and coming home from work right now. Because we already know that it lists for 14 days on fabric. Old nurses' standards is you don't wear your uniform into work, you change at work. That's why you have a nurse's locker room, you have a doctor's locker room. Not only that, but what are you exposed to during your shift that you're carrying out into your community? Even during normal times.
Right. Well, and I think for many nurses, it comes down to like that whole process of, I get dressed to go out of the house,
Mm-hmm.
to go to work and then change at work, and then I've got to change out at work to put on clothes to come home to then change out of. And I think that's where a lot of nurses ended up, is it just made more sense, as it logically would,
Mm-hmm.
to not do the multiple clothing changes and just be like, that's it. I'm just going to leave here dressed for work. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to work. I'm going to leave work and then strip off when I get home.
But you're hitting Walmart, you're going to Kroger's, you're going to Walmart, you're running around town, you're going out to eat. You're dealing with a pandemic or not. You're dealing with influenza or not. You're dealing with human excrement on you, and you're spreading that around.
Potentially.
Majorly.
So, yeah, that it does bring up some really interesting points.
Right.
I mean, not that we're necessarily saying these are given facts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just common sense.
Right.
You're in an environment, and especially right now, in which you are exposed to a lot of things, and some of those things will continue to live on fabric for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're kind of running around living your life, doing your doing a post shift, run around, or a pre-shift run around, all of that's getting carried with you.
Yeah.
That's just kind of a thing.
It is, and it's a bad thing. I mean, my nursing professors would have thrown a fit. Of course, they were still wearing caps. And
the little Whipple.
Depending on where school you went, it was either the Whipple, the band, or and I'm sorry, it just looks like a 4-pointed boat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, some of the original nurses' uniforms even still had capes on them when I was in nursing. We knew the grads because they had capes on them. And we've gone now to a world of scrubs, and granted, yes, there were color-coded scrubs. Now they're all different patterns and different things, and that's all well and good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like nurses in black uniforms. That's just wrong.
I don't know. I can kind of see the black, because, even if you clean and you really do truly honestly get something clean, some things stain.
It's called hydroperoxide. It will remove any human stuff from a uniform, including blood. It's a half a cup to a washer load. If you nurses don't get that in nursing school, it's a half a cup to a washing load.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a wild world now.
Huh?
It's a wild world now.
It is a wild world. It's a world where we have to think what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
What we're doing to the people, what we're doing to our land, what we're doing to other things. And how we as a human race and as people need to start paying attention to our limits.
Okay.
We have nurses working, like when I used to work, 16-hour shifts, 18-hour shifts now.
Mm-hmm.
They shouldn't be. We have police forces that are getting the blue flu because they're having to take changes to policies, especially Atlanta polices. Really, guys? Really?
Yeah, that's definitely been a hot topic issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We have Seattle, which now doesn't have a city block under police control. Police are barely able to get in for 911 calls. But the crime rate's gone down drastically. Minnesota has built a wall around their police detachments.
Okay.
I'm like, really? You've built a wall the size of my raised bed garden around your front door. You're supposed to be for the people. Uh-uh.
Well, that does bring up the question of how many Christian churches have you seen that have locks on the doors? I've always questioned that. I thought that was kind of counterintuitive.
Well, it's not only counterintuitive, but
The church is supposed to always be open, man. We're here for everyone. But there's locks on the doors. Okay.
now I can remember the Catholic Church never locking their door.
Sorry, it's one of those fun jokes fun observations. We'll put it that way. It's not really exactly a joke. But it is a fun observation.
Right.
It's a challenging concept.
Right.
A church that locks. It's like, isn't that kind of? Well, I mean, it's sort of like a 24-hour restaurant that has locks on the doors. It's like, why did you bother?
Well,
it's like you're open 24 hours. You don't close.
I think some of it comes standard issue.
Well, there's that. And I'm sure there are moments in which you do have to lock or want the ability to lock, but it is sometimes kind of funny.
Well, I think
why is there
yeah.
why does Waffle House have locks? Like, believe me, by the point that a Waffle House closes.
Christmas.
No.
Yes.
I didn't think Waffle House ever closed. 24/7.
Walmart.
No. Waffle House never closes. Like, it's actually part of, like, a storm predictor is, like, how many Waffle Houses close. Like, how bad a storm is what's the affected Waffle House closing. So, yeah, no. Technically, no. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
Okay, I thought they closed.
Nope.
Anyhow. Also in the news, Walmart has now gone to no checkout people, no human checkout.
Well, they're beta testing it. Aren't they at a few stores?
In Arkansas.
Yes. So, yeah, they're trying to go all electronic checkout at those stores and see how it goes.
And I'm going to say I called this because our viewers that remember me talking about when we did shop at Walmart, yes, we're currently boycotting Walmarts for their Nazi practices. I made a comment that every time we go through, I empty the change jar right into their little machine because that's what they were aiming to do.
Well, and I think that's one part of this situation that has kind of, I don't want to say accelerated that, but it's like opened a door for it. Trying to utilize, contactless systems in which you don't have as much human interaction. That's a lot of what we're seeing with places now doing, curbside pickup only.
Right.
That you can go online, you can pre-order, they will have it ready and a number for you to call, and they will bring it out to your car, and they'll even put it in your car.
Right. And those work really well. However, Walmart in itself was already planning this in their plans beforehand. COVID-19 just moved it up.
Yeah.
And then we got to think about the population they're serving.
Okay.
Can you imagine your grandmother trying to use one of those things? Or better yet, my mother.
Yeah. Yeah. No, no. I don't think my grandmother could have hopped on board with that.
Right.
Though I would say that she's sort of in that exception category. You know what I mean? Like, 90 some years old. That's a lot. And right now I would say that's definitely kind of a factor for a lot of people in the world. This is a lot.
Yeah.
Like, if you're like of sound mind and body and all this is good and you're, in the middle age and younger crowd, this is a lot. But if you're, getting up there
Mm-hmm.
and closing in on that 90, 100, and still lots of very active older seniors.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to call them elderly because they don't need your help.
No.
But that means that these kinds of changes can be really impactful.
Very.
And kind of explanatory for that is we've kind of gone through that with not quite so much your mother, little bit on your mom, but a little bit more on the other residents of her building.
Mm-hmm.
They swapped out the laundry system
Very much so.
and the payment method. They took out the coin op, which everyone was cool with. They understood how coin op worked. Everyone was good, and went to a reloadable card system that's basically a proximity card. And this very non-intuitive, no instructions reload station, or use our app, which totally everyone.
Right.
And everyone's had problems doing laundry. Everyone's running into issues with it. And a lot of the residents are like, help? Like, I got nothing for this.
Right. And, use our app for that generation doesn't work. I mean, my mother is like the techie of the building because her son got her an Alexa.
Yes. Which doesn't work if any of her neighbors have figured out how to watch this show. It's not working.
Right.
I love your mother's resourcefulness.
Uh-huh.
She has one neighbor that is so enthralled.
Very.
Like if this person's family member needs to do a couple of things. First, get them internet.
Uh-huh.
And then set them up one, and I don't think anyone in the building will ever see that woman again.
I agree.
Because she will just spend her life talking to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's been the problem, is she will come down and she just starts talking to your mom's
Uh-huh.
and asking it to play this song and what's this and what's that, like totally gets it, totally on board with the technology.
Mm-hmm.
Thinks it's amazing, but drives, it gets to be too much for your mom.
Well,
I don't think she's driving her crazy, but
she's coming to visit her.
yeah,
coming to visit my mother.
Yeah. Which is kind of cute and sad at the same time. But we need to set up an affiliate link for your mom for this, because she could have sold like 20 of these by now.
Right.
If only these people actually had internet access.
Right.
Like, that's our starting problem, is they are totally enthralled with the units. But that's because these are people that have never been online, do not know how to use a computer. If they own a cell phone, it is basic flip phone, big key, doesn't do much. And that's it. That's every bit of like where they're at.
Right. Which I have to give my mother
credit. Amazing.
She has a Facebook. That was probably the worst thing I ever introduced to her.
Oh, no, it's not.
Okay, I introduced the internet to her. She's a very large YouTube fan. She has channels she subscribes to and watches.
Mm-hmm.
She's all over Facebook. She's now messing with the her. We're debating on whether we want to give her enabled lights.
We are still debating that. Just because Yeah,
we worry about her neighbors walking in and going, hey, turn on, turn off, turn on, turn off.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way.
Uh-huh. Which in turn can set off, unfortunately, the fire alarm in this building.
Oh, good Lord.
Because it is light reactive.
What?
Yeah.
No, I think that works the other way. I think they have it set up to be light displaying so that people with hearing impairments
Right.
know
But
that it's
again,
going. Yeah.
the whole house is set up that way. If we start giving her lights that command it, it's going to be interesting. It'll be like we'll call it a retirement home rave.
Well, we could go into the name of the place because that just kind of fits now.
Well, true. But some benefits.
But anyway, we'll skip right over that.
My mother can reach me without having to get her phone.
Yeah.
I can drop in on my mother if I suspect something's wrong. I don't have to. If she ain't answering her phone, I can drop in on her. And she likes that factor.
Yes, and has made it well known to people that may decide to try to take advantage. You know, my son can drop in anytime he wants, and that has a camera. It's like, yes, we didn't even tell her that one.
Right.
Like, she just totally ran with it. We were like, yes! Like, dude, rock on.
Yeah. You know, so that's been really great. It's a great way to keep in contact with her because I don't work normal hours. She doesn't live normal hours. She, for 20 years, was a midnight shift worker. Gee, I wonder where I get my sleep schedule from.
I know, right?
She worked midnights, Dad worked day shifts. So, you know, I'll have a conversation at 3 o'clock in the morning with her. But I bring this up because a story hit my Facebook. And it wasn't a news article, it was a post. And I thought we had gone past this point. Again, we live in a lovely little gay hemisphere. We get covered with advertisements all the time for PrEP, Dial a Doctor. All this is hitting us in our Facebook, in our Twitter, in our social media, in our private apps. Yeah. It's all over the place. I bet I get more emails about that than getting stronger, tighter boobs.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're getting way more of that. Like, we basically, like, my news feed is like article, story, article, post from a friend, post from a friend, ED medication, post from a friend, post from a friend, post from a friend, advertisement for, you know, PrEP lawsuit, or like Truvada lawsuit. Yeah. No, it's crazy. Like, that's basically it. It's just PrEP and ED meds. That's it. That's my entire life now.
Right.
That's everything I see.
Of the story was a friend who's a piercer, had a piercing accident.
Hello, Mimi.
Huh?
Hello, Mimi.
Hi, Mimi. Had a piercing accident. She was doing a piercing and stuck herself. And of course, my nurse is training going in like, oh, this occurs a lot in medical health care. Okay, we know the protocol. So I'm like into the story, reading it. You know, she had a piercing accident. She even debated on whether to post this or not. And I'm like, I'm glad you did.
Well, but initially you were having a moment there of like, oh, I don't know if you want to post that for your clients. Like, they make it a little antsy. Huh?
She had that moment.
Right, but that's what I'm saying is at the very beginning of like the situation, as you're reading through it, it's like, I don't know if you want to post that.
Right.
And then like it went crazy. So let's back up a second. So PrEP, or more importantly at this point, because she's had a piercing accident, that's a different protocol. PrEP is a long-term protocol used for preventing HIV in populations most likely to come in contact with it on a routine basis. Then there's PEP, P-E-P, just drop the R out, and that is post-exposure prophylaxis, and that's a little bit different. So that's been standard protocol since when?
Well, I was in nursing in the late '90s, and it was protocol for the testing. They didn't have the meds in. The meds came out in late 2010, 2011.
Okay.
So we're a good 2 decades in.
No, I thought PEP was no. PEP goes back into the early 2000s at least. I mean, that's the point in which I knew of it as a option, and was even an option for, in cases of rape, in cases in which, a condom broke with a partner. These were things we were telling people in the early 2000s you could go to the hospital and ask for.
Uh, yeah, I remember them hitting when I was on the floor in late 2000, like 2009, 2010.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, wasn't like countermanding. I'm just saying.
But we're in a different state too, and that's an important part to remember. In West Virginia, it probably became late 2008, 2009.
Okay.
Okay. Standard protocol. Should have it on hand. Like, nurses get stuck on average 1,000 times a year with the protocol now.
Mm-hmm.
That's just stuck. That's not exposed to blood with a cut, a break of a glove, anything like that.
Yeah. And we should point out this was not Podunk Nowhere's five-bed general hospital either.
No, this is one of the bigger cities.
Yeah. Allow you to keep moving.
So she goes to the ER, starts the blood work, and has to demand this medication. Like, what?
No.
Hello? And I thought, okay, really? We've got marketing killing us, covering us up for a form of this.
Mm-hmm.
But at the ER, they didn't have it, so they had to write her a prescription.
Well, and moreover, like, who missed that episode of ER? Like, who missed that episode of ER? We watched this. We saw this. Like, yeah. Like, this is a thing that people do. And also, hello, Jessica. Sorry.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay. Then she's trying to take care of herself, take care of her business, while her husband starts looking for a pharmacy to fill this.
Mm-hmm.
36 of them. She ended up driving over an hour and 15 minutes to get the medication, was there for 6 hours where the pharmacist had to sort it out because the hospital didn't even write the prescription right.
Well, yeah, they got the prescription wrong. It was not going to be covered by insurance. So she was just for one med looking at thousands of dollars out of pocket. And definitely the hospital that finally, or the pharmacy that finally got this right is definitely to be commended, because that pharmacist went above and beyond.
Right.
Like, totally above and beyond, like tracking people down and going, look, here's the situation. Can you please help me?
Right.
And getting the right script written the right way, contacting manufacturers to get discounts, so that, like, into this, did she even pay anything? Like, she went from thousands of dollars potentially, like she was going to bankrupt herself,
right, to like
all the way to like nothing.
Right, nominal. You know, standard
cup of coffee, really nice Starbucks trip.
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
Exactly.
Like, nothing that's going to kill you financially.
Right.
Like, even if you're at that point of like, no, really, most anything is going to knock me over with a feather. Which in the US, a lot of, and especially right now, a lot of people are at. Like, knock them over with a feather. Like, one more thing goes wrong in their life and they're out on the street.
Right. But at the same point, it's like, really, in this time and age, when we have the medications, they have been just millions of research have been spent to develop these meds. We have an idiot president that thinks there's a vaccine and there isn't.
No.
And we have doctors that don't even apply CDD standards. Y'all guys have heard me go off on that one.
Right.
Now we've got people that are in professions that are at risk.
Who are required in the state of West Virginia, to understand bloodborne illnesses, to have sharps containers and proper understanding and training and pass a test on what to do should this happen, what to do in this situation. And so you're telling me in the state of West Virginia, our body artists, our tattoos and piercers have better medical training and understanding of what to do in a needle stick accident than a major hospital in the state? That's where my head kept exploding. Is like, really? Like, every single tattoo and piercer licensed in this state seems to have a better understanding and grasp of what to do in this situation, which is not, by the way, to set up an appointment for 3 weeks later, 3 weeks, to go see a HIV specialist, to go to a clinic. Because that's what she basically got, wasn't it?
She got a referral. She hasn't even got the appointment yet because it is only open certain days a week and only if they want to answer the phone.
Yeah, and PEP is something that you have to start with in a limited number of hours. You cannot wait 3 weeks and expect this to help you.
Right.
You know, it's sort of, so to speak, the morning after pill for HIV.
Yeah.
Is you don't get to wait like a month into the pregnancy and be like, ooh, morning after pill, please. No, not how that works. Like, too late, buddy. Not a morning after pill situation. Not anymore.
Right. Well, what even gets me is West Virginia has the largest population of trans in the country. We have a very strong gay population. We have a large sexually active adult population, but we've got doctors talking about stuff from the 80s.
Well, yeah, and a lot of the physicians in West Virginia are effectively, seemingly, either assuming everyone's either a virgin or in a monogamous relationship. And of course, no one cheats because, you know, look at the statistics. No one ever gets divorced for cheating. You know, like, hi, look around. We're in the middle of an opioid epidemic, which has turned into a heroin epidemic. Which, side note, big red flashing lights, needle sharing is one of the easiest ways. Like, you know, like needle stick, anal sex. Like, that's where you are.
A little harder.
Well, yeah. Like, yeah.
There you go.
Direct needle sharing, yeah, that's a very high risk activity. Like, that's just one of the many options or many possibilities in that scenario.
Right.
There's also a very high incidence of hepatitis. We have seen that throughout the state. Multiple states are dealing with massive spikes in hepatitis, HPV, Syphilis, chlamydia. Chlamydia has been on a big. Chlamydia and gonorrhea have both been major spikes all throughout the country. So yeah, no, you don't get to just sit here and be like, oh, no big deal, accidental needle stick, whatever.
Right.
We'll run some blood work, come back in a few weeks,
No,
like go home, have a nice evening.
Especially when 385,000 on average needle sticks occur in the nursing profession alone.
Mm-hmm.
One of our what are they? They're numbers 2 hospitals can't even deal with this.
So this is where I start to question, like, if a coworker at this hospital had gone to had basically had to go through this, would this have been what they got?
Yeah.
Like the same kind of BS? Or is this, we don't respect your profession and we don't really care? Like, oh yeah, body modification artist gets stuck by needle, who cares? Like, is it that kind of like BS?
I don't know. I truly don't know, but I call this a tragedy.
It definitely is.
Because
personally, I think you call this medical malpractice, but that's just me.
Well,
like, this is so far outside of guidelines. Like,
and I've been on that side of the patient having to argue with the doctor to run blood work. And I had to flat out say, do it. However, if a lady goes into a doctor's office and has anything wrong, the first thing they do is run a pregnancy test.
Well, yes, because people tend to sue when their child is born with birth defects that they didn't know they were pregnant with or didn't want to admit they were pregnant with.
Right.
And there is a lot of medical testing and a lot of medications that are very harmful to unborn children.
Right.
Or the unborn.
Right. Furthermore, why is it that 36 pharmacies does not carry a standard medication?
Well, that's probably the scarier part, is the lack of local resources, or more importantly, I can somewhat understand, and we kind of had, we got into this topic personally, but I can somewhat understand if, there are X number of HIV specialized clinics in West Virginia, and all HIV meds, all HIV treatment is going to run through them. That's one large body to argue with these medication manufacturers for discounts and supports, and have the process down pat. We're going to do this. I can understand that. In North Carolina, that actually is part of their process. What I don't understand is, okay, so the pharmacies aren't, like, if it's that kind of situation, the pharmacies are not getting the demand. You go to XYZ hospital and they write you a script, shouldn't happen, because if you can't fill it anywhere. Nowhere has it, because this is what we're doing in this state. If that's the case, I can understand the pharmacies not having that. What I don't understand is how a major hospital can screw this up and not have these meds at least as something through their in-house pharmacy.
Right.
That it's like, okay, this is a 1-month course of treatment. Here are your bottles. Here you go. Come back in X number of months. We will rerun the blood work. We know this is a really difficult time, blah, blah, blah. Your normal support and counseling. And I hate to make that sound like it's no big deal. It is a big deal.
Right. But what is, I can go to Walgreens, pick up the test kit, run the test myself. I mean, is this the 60s and we're controlling birth control through Planned Parenthood? which is the only reason that birth control even got out.
I don't know what is wrong in this situation. I don't understand it. It does not make sense to me.
Right.
Like, I'm trying to understand how this happens.
Right.
Like, what is it? What's going on? Is there anything logical? Like, I'm going total devil's advocate on this one, going, there's got to be something that makes sense in this. Because if this is just what it is, then one, this is why we have so many cases in West Virginia. Two, this is only going to lead to more cases in West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Who hasn't gotten that? I know we are struggling in the state to understand harm reduction. I know we are struggling in the state to understand the benefits of needle exchange, especially on ballooning STD rates. But come on.
Mm-hmm. Very much.
Come on.
It's 8 years. 8 years since PrEP has been on the market. Not PEP, PrEP has been on the market. It came out in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
West Virginia, what the hell?
Yeah. Well, and that leads to a bigger question of, okay, so what's going on with PrEP in West Virginia?
Well, when I inquired in it about 4 years ago, I was told it's not here yet.
That's a frightening sentence.
Yeah, that's a major frightening sentence. All right, so let's take a moment. I've got one question up. I'll go ahead and answer it for Mimi, if you'll go ahead and read it for me.
All right, and date of birth is 7/26/94. And what is Dario's intentions behind reading my letter and not responding?
His intentions right now is to think it out, because we've got, lined up here, we've got the Ace of Swords, which is your letter, providing an opportunity and clearing out matters, but we also have intention, the Nine of Wands, and the Star card. So he's still processing your letter and trying to figure out what he wants to do with it. Okay, Mimi? You're looking at probably another week before a response.
All righty.
All righty. Hi, Shannon.
And hello, Terry.
And hello, Terry. But, guys, be talking to your legislators. The more and more I hear about this one case, and this is only one case we've heard about, we've had to deal with other cases. And I'm really thinking about creating a page with this information. There is one main organization, Covenant House, in Charleston, West Virginia, that does a lot of work for the community. Y'all guys want to throw donation dollars, throw them that way, because, they are running tests, they're running clinics, they're providing support for our GBLT youth, they're running support for our GBLT homeless population, our veterans population that is GBLT related. Like, they're doing a lot of things, from loads of laundry on up. Now, originally, this organization was started to deal with our AIDS crisis in West Virginia that apparently never occurred, but it occurred. It's occurring.
Well, yeah. And that's the bigger part of this, is then, moreover, with the reaction that we've seen out of doctors, or more so the lack thereof, I have some serious questions, and I will pose them to our viewers, and please chime in, even if you're watching this later. Are your doctors even asking you about sexual activity and, like, prompting you for STD testing? Are you having to demand it? Are you, like, having to argue with physicians? Like, where are you on this? And moreover, like, are you getting that, the one, HIV is a horrible disease, or AIDS, more importantly, is a horrible disease. That's not the only STD out there. There are many, many others that are considered not that big a deal because there are pills and treatments. But many of them can have some really horrible, devastating, lifelong effects. Hepatitis will shut down your liver and kidneys, if I remember correctly. Gonorrhea and chlamydia will more than likely create scarring that prevents pregnancy in either direction, whether you're shooting the or you're receiving. There's a lot going on there. It's not just about the gays. If you're heterosexual, you need to be doing this too. Hi, I don't care if you're in a monogamous relationship, get an STD test. Like, assholes cheat. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's horrible. It can happen. And the worst thing that can come out of that is you walking around with an STD for years.
Right. Aaron's chiming in here. I'm going to be laying out some things for everybody because apparently everyone needs the same medication I give all my little gabies. You should be getting an HIV and an STI test once a year.
Minimum.
If you are considered high risk. High risk does not mean that you are just homosexual. If you're heterosexual with multiple partners, if you are with a partner that has multiple partners, if you are in a field where you are exposed to bloodborne pathogens, guess what? That includes the garbage man. You should be getting tested more often than once a year. But at minimum, when you go for your yearly physical, or what I commonly recall as your birth date medically, you need to be getting an STI panel and an HIV panel. Now, granted, if you come back positive on all of those, then there is a lot of great treatments out there now. They are not as evil as they used to be. If you are single and sexually active in a non-monogamous relationship, you should be on some form of preventative. Just same as if you are possible of having a child, you get on a preventative unless you want one.
Yes. And one... Pardon?
Erin's responding to your question.
Yes, she is. Awesome. And we thank you so much for that. She has been told she didn't need HIV testing because she wasn't high risk. But that was years ago, and been told numerous times that hepatitis testing, that she didn't need it. So yeah, and if you were going to start listening in at any point, we are so thankful you started listening in then.
You have to ask.
You basically end up having to ask. Typically the most you're going to get is a screening for hepatitis and HIV pre-surgery, or any medical procedure in which there's a needle stick risk,
right.
Or like oh hell, why can't I think of the word? Scalpel slip risk. Yes. Right. So anything like that, there's a potential there. Then you move down a level, and that's your doctor will ask you, are you, like if you're going to a dentist, they'll ask if you're HIV positive. And that's mostly so that if there is an incident during your treatment, that's for medical staff's protection, not yours.
Right.
Basically, they're just wanting to know what they've got to run out and do at that point.
Right.
The biggest problem that you run into there is and kind of the biggest problem with HIV especially is you can have no symptoms for 8 to 10 years in the time frame that it takes to go from HIV to AIDS. That's a long time. That you can have no outward signs, no clue without testing. So if you're marking, nope, I'm not HIV positive on your medical forms, and you've never had an HIV test, or you haven't had one in 5 years or 10 years, a lot can happen in that time.
Yeah. And and I'm going to be honest, that's not the most dangerous one. Hepatitis C is more dangerous than HIV.
Depending.
Medication for it.
True. But, like, that's still a back and forth. depends upon how you want to balance that equation.
Right.
As in HIV is, and more importantly, AIDS is worse as a total disease.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're just comparing, like treatability and life, then yeah, it changes that equation massively.
Right.
Like HIV is very treatable. You
Mm-hmm.
can live a long, full life and die of something else totally unrelated.
Yes.
Treatable.
Right.
So don't be afraid of an HIV test. You're not dirty, you're not broken, you're not tainted. You can go on, have a lovely life, walking around not knowing, however, you're potentially looking at a very bad death sentence.
Right. And this is as deadly as diabetes. Untreated diabetes. Your doctor's going to test you for that. They do an A1C.
They love doing them.
They love doing them.
Okay. And Shannon says, my OBGYN does an STD test every yearly checkup, and I sign a consent form for HIV testing every time I go in for my yearly checkup with my primary care physician, and they draw lots of blood. Is my understanding they are doing a screening with my blood work each year. Are you getting the results? That's my next question is, are you seeing that in your results? Because even if you're signing the consent, if you're not getting your results, that can be a problem. One thing we have noticed with physicians is general is a lot of them seem to just kind of take a quick look at the results and just kind of like, oh, everything's in line, whatever, and keep moving. And there are some horror stories out there where people were HIV positive and weren't told.
Yeah.
So always make sure you're checking your results and making sure that STD panel's there. And if it isn't, go clobber your doctor upside the head and go, what the fuck, man? Oh, see, yeah, never trust that. Don't trust that. Please don't trust that. We've run into a couple of situations where if you're getting that nurse phone call or the patient health navigator call and you're told that, oh, your blood work's all clear, sometimes that's legit, and sometimes you start looking at it going, I think you missed a few things. Like, let's have some conversations here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've run into a couple of situations where stuff was left out. Oh. That looks like an interesting article just by title. I'm bringing it up now, Aaron. So go. All right. Oh, yeah, Cabell County has had a rough time. Not as bad as Kanawha County, I'll give that, but I'm reading through really, really quickly. Yeah. Oh, see, I hate new rules. Oh. Okay. Okay. Oh, come on. They're requiring ID. What the hell? Yeah.
Does that hit the HEPA laws? Because they may be requiring IDs, but are they locked in under HEPA that they can't share the information?
She wrote it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So we're just like telling you. Okay. Like preaching to the choir over here. I'm sorry. I did not read the author. I am so sorry. Okay. Well, I will definitely dig into that one a little bit more later.
Yeah.
Because I know not everyone wants to watch me read, because that's a process. And sorry, I did not catch that in the beginning. That's but it looks like a very good read. Guys, definitely check that out.
Yes, please do. Also be checking out, and talking with your doctors, talking with your pharmacist. Recently, and it's a good thing that we decided to talk to my pharmacist. Recall on my diabetes medicine from one manufacturer. I almost stopped taking it because I'm like, great. Now they're going to switch me to something else. We were looking at like, are we going to have to go to insulin because the medication I use is not going to be available? Like my ulcer medication is no longer available and I'm taking some crap.
Yeah, it keeps seeming to be meds you're on. Like every freaking recall is like, oh crap. Here we go again.
I've already said I'm either dying of cancer or a heart attack. That's looking at my genetics. Wahoo, leave me alone. Just give me what makes me function.
But again, these are also popular meds. Just to put it out there. These are common meds. Like there's a lot of people on these meds. Like that's where we're at right now. Is a lot of the meds under recall are extremely popular.
Yeah.
Feels like everyone's taking it.
Sure. It's a good thing I didn't stop taking my med, that I called my pharmacist, went by and said, hey, tell me about this one. By the way, I need that one that they recalled this and put me on this. Please be talking to your professionals. Please do not be depending on them to be your advocate because they're not.
Yes.
Doctors are not your advocates. They are there because you are there. Well, and we've seen a lot of that. We continue to see a lot of that. Well, that's why I'm a super doc after interviewing 52 of them.
Well, and in another wonderful pharmacy situation, I actually had a couple of days shaved off of getting a prescription. And this has been an ongoing issue with this script. I use a medication called Q Nasal. So a little nasal spray helps. It's sort of like Flonase. Flonase gives me migraines, however, so we don't use that. So Q Nasal is a newer version, so to speak, of that med. It's still a inhaled nasal steroid. Love my meds. My meds work beautifully for me. But in the middle of all this medication has changed what is effectively its UPC number, its NDI number, its National Drug Index, I think it is. Believe that's what what NDI stands for. But that stupid little number changed, and it's like 3 little digits moved around. And the script is written either vice versa. It's written for the old one and they only stock the new one, or vice versa, it's written for the new one and they only stock the old one. And what keeps happening is I keep going to do a refill. Their system can't cross-link that these are the same med.
Yes.
And so it keeps telling me my pharmacy's out of it. And yet again, gotta love our super pharmacy tech because she is amazing. She yet again caught it and went ahead and pulled the med for me and was like, oh God, why do we keep doing this? Here you go. Like, give me 10 minutes. I've got it. Right. We're not out. Because it seems like the only thing that catches it on their side is the reorder system. Like their reorder system understands, don't order that. You have that. But their prescription filling system doesn't get it. Like, just use this.
My Flonase does smell like concentrated rose water.
Thank you, someone else. Okay, is that nasal? Well, Flonase, I think, smells like a florist shop. It like jizzed up my nose. There's no other way to put it. There's no nice way. Right. It is like shooting floral water.
Yeah, your nose spray smells like someone opened up a flower cooler.
No, I actually like this one. It doesn't bother me. Like, I don't get that, like, overwhelming, like, but the minute I've taken it.
I do.
Like, you can kiss me and you're like, oh, God, please drink water. Like that.
But I can also tell, but, I'm a little weird. I can tell when you're getting a sinus infection, when you've ate the wrong food, if you've kissed somebody else, including the cat.
I have not kissed the cat knowingly or intentionally.
Again, I have built-in detectors of, what have you been up to?
But no, I mean, like, because see, I said that for the longest time is Flonase smells like a florist shop / flower water. That flowery water smell. And literally for the longest time, everyone's like, okay, whatevs. Like, I've never had that experience. It doesn't like that to me. Thank you for there being 2 people that have been there, done that, had that experience, and are like, yep. And Terry has a question. Okay, ready for that one?
Yep, go for it.
All right. Birth date 3/13/57. My question, Mark, Butch, and myself are going to circuit that lady is taking us. What will happen? Circus?
No, this is a court case.
Oh, okay, got it now. Sorry. I was
nothing. To be honest. You're stressing and you're wearing out. You guys get there, it's the 3 of Cups, so it's party time. You lay out the stuff, and you have the chariot in your final outcome, so there's victory there for you. So, again, this is another smoke and mirror, whiny trip that gets to nothing.
Oh, dear.
Yep.
Alrighty. Well, hopefully that got Terry's question. And so, yeah, and then we have Sharon. Do you know if that is the generic for Flonase?
No, it's the brand. There's no generic. The generic is the brand.
Yeah.
Because they seed it. Oh, and that's something else. If your doctor recommends you to have an over-the-counter medication, especially in the allergy field, please be sure to make them write a prescription.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that one, Sharon. It's kind of screwed up that something that is especially common for people with seasonal allergies, like flowers and people who suffer a lot with strong scents, is something that smells like a perfume or flowers. It is kind of a what the man. So all right, and Aaron has a question. 8686. Am I going to get the job I applied for?
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to ask you to really weigh it out carefully, because you get it. I mean, we have the 4 of Cups having you getting it, and you find imbalance there, but it shows that something shakes up or tears up. It's the Tower. And then you're off traveling again. So you may want to really look at that job and see if it's something you want to deal with. Okay?
And then Mika has a question that is not for a reading. It's a very good one, and it's one you've had to deal with a lot, is how do you guys deal with Christian family members or friends who think astrology, psychics, etc. is wrong? Like, what is your response to them?
Well, I actually give them a response that causes them pause. And what I do with that is I explain out to them that they need to look at the Bible, because astrology is in the first few pages of the New Testament. We 3 kings from Orient descent, following the stars, is the ones that showed the evidence of Jesus's birth. And then I have them read Acts, preferably Acts the day of Pentecost, where it says young men will dream, talking about the ability of foretelling, of telling prophecy. And, if you ask my mother what I do, she actually says I'm a prophetess, because that's what hits her brain. And she is Christian. She's a retired first lady, Mika, if you know what that means. But you point out that it's all through the Bible. You point out that it's, all the, and I've even talked with some Islams that debate this about psychics and, looking at the Quran and where they talk about Muhammad being a prophet and how he wasn't the only prophet. So astrology is a lot easier to deal with. But, speaking in tongues, laying hands on the sick, faith healing is all through their religion. It's practiced in their religion. They just don't use the word psychic. They use the word prophetess or prophet. And being able to foretell. Now, the only problem you'll run into is the Old Testament, where it says that thou should not allow either a witch or a poisonous or whatever. The original word is poisonous. They keep changing it through the additions. So you'll have to see which Bible they're using. And yes, there's 26 of them out there, and explain, because they'll use that, don't be calling up the dead. However, in the Bible, I believe it's David. David was the reader of dreams. And I believe it's Ezekiel or it's in the book of Ezekiel, where he has done ordered all the mediums to be killed. And then right before a big battle, he calls up the prophet Abraham to talk about the battle. And Abraham says, guess what? You're going to lose, bud. So instead of trying to say, no, you're wrong, point out to them that it's already part of their faith. Find the similarities there. And I find that they're a lot easier to deal with, to talk with, when you meet them on the ground of understanding. That's why you see a lot of psychics that'll have prophetess in their thing. I don't see myself as a prophet, because it's not my faith. I also don't argue people's faith. I will point things out in their faith. I will find common ground in their faith, but I don't debate with them whether this is wrong or right. I will tell them, I'm not going to argue your own faith for you. And I'll tell them, go read Acts and come back and talk to me. I've had 2 people do that, and they both signed up for my tarot class afterwards.
Hey, there you go. And Aaron, you are most welcome.
Oh, very much so, darling. Nice to see you still on the beat. Enjoyed seeing you in press conferences.
Yeah, harm reduction has been a hard one, especially in West Virginia. That's a topic that West Virginia is really struggling to understand and get there.
Well,
we're still stuck in that encouraging drug use concept. And that's about the same as saying that, distributing condoms encourages sex. No, it doesn't. It's, again, harm reduction.
Right.
Just because someone hands you a condom or a needle doesn't mean you have to put, stick anything anywhere.
Well, again,
sorry.
I am for condoms in high schools. I think they should be in places that are comfortable for the students to get to, not just the boys' room. Put them in the girls' room.
Mm-hmm.
I think that in this state, we have a large problem with poor education of our human bodies. I think that right now we do need to find our common grounds. I'm really disappointed in the council meetings. I'm really disappointed in our legislators. I'm very disappointed in our government in general, who think that the whole state is Christian, because we're not. And my calendar is very open right now for those that want, other faith leaders to come and start their meetings.
Mm-hmm.
But no, Cabell County, I'm glad they're getting they have a program for needles.
Mm-hmm.
Kanawha County is an issue. Logan County is an issue. Fayette County is an issue. Wyoming County is an issue. This should not be a thing.
Right.
In this day and time. You went on to what is that allergy formula where I got to shoot you once a week?
Oh, yes. I did basically they're allergy injections. It's immunotherapy. for allergies. Basically, I sit here, get my syringes and my vials after you had been trained how to give my injection, which is a formality in this situation, but it's a requirement. And literally, they can train anyone to do the injections. It's not that bad.
Right.
Which drastically reduces the number of trips to your doctor's office, which I had to stop because of my neck surgery. No, they don't want me doing that. Not right now. But yeah, that was a little bit of a struggle over the syringes. Is you get some really dirty looks when you show up with a prescription for syringes.
Yeah, and they give
especially when there's no vials.
Right.
Like, it's not like I'm getting insulin. They don't distribute my allergy vials through a pharmacy.
Right.
They distribute them through my doctor's office.
Right.
They just send me with a script for, needles.
Right.
And that's some dirty looks. That is a lot of dirty looks.
The number they gave you, now granted, I'm giving you one shot a week.
Mm-hmm.
That box had 1,000 needles in it. We don't have to get that refilled for 200 years.
It was a lot. Was it 1,000? I think it was like 100.
No, there's 50 to a package, and there's 20 packages in that box.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay. So this isn't a big thing for the insurance company. Like, we didn't have to go through authorizations. They aren't keeping count of how many syringes I use for that purpose.
Yeah.
Why is this so hard?
Again, because I think we're still in this mindset of, we're trying to win a war on drugs. And I'm sorry, it's going to be a night of me doing air quotes because the war on drugs is lost. Like, the minute we called it a war.
Stupid. The war on drugs was a lovely campaign slogan.
That's like every other war we've had. The war on poverty, we now have the greatest separation in class we have ever had. The war on drugs, all we did was lock up a lot of people for very long prison sentences, mostly people of color, because we all knew that it was a joke when you thought about, this was never going to apply equally to white people. But moreover, you just locked up a bunch of people for drug use, simple possession, quantities enough to get high on, if that, lock them up for years.
Mm-hmm.
For simple use.
I think that counseling services and programs should be right there with the needle exchange. Most definitely should be there. They should be provided. It should not be this, well, let me give you a card and you can call these people whoever you want. It should be, we have a counselor here today if you'd like to speak with one.
Mm-hmm.
We have a program here that you would like to speak with one. We've got hospitals. Hospitals that were just decommissioned, that were brought back in commission for the COVID-19, like Fairmont, Pinecrest. All these hospitals were reactivated for COVID-19. Why aren't they being reactivated for drug treatment?
That's been a very big part of this battle, is actually, even if someone right now in the state of West Virginia wants to get off drugs, and like in that moment they're ready to go, where do you send them?
Yeah, there's no beds. We had a very close friend have a bout of depression that needed to be medically treated, but was told there was no bed.
Yeah.
They are still waiting for, they got into a psychologist, but again, they are not getting their meds regulated. And with bipolar and some issues, you have to be in a hospital setting or it's very dangerous. There's no beds, but we've got hospital buildings just sitting around.
Yeah.
Collecting dust.
Yeah. Because ultimately no one wants to pay for drug treatment. Mm-hmm. Because that's a large part of the problem, is that for many people that have substance abuse issues, along with that, when you're starting that slide into rock bottom, which is usually where a lot of people have to hit before they seek treatment, you're unemployed. If you're fortunate, you can get onto Medicaid. And then Medicaid is very, as I understand it, very limited in West Virginia as for drug treatment. There's not a lot they'll pay for. There's not a lot of places that they like to send you. They don't want to send you out of state because that's expensive.
Brenda, if you're still watching us, please comment how many beds Fairmont would be. Because I think the number I have in my head is 219 beds.
Okay. And Mika says thank you, and also says it's like that in Ohio too. You have to wait and keep calling.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
Especially when you're talking about someone trying to get off of drugs. Sometimes it's a limited window opportunity.
Yeah.
That they have hit that point that everything clicked and they are there. They're ready to go. And also the realization is the first time, the third time, the 10th time may not take.
Right.
It takes a lot to get someone off of drugs.
Right. But if we got a better focus on mental health in this country and did not make it this hoop dancing bullshit that it is, I think we'd see a large reduction in hardcore drug use.
I could see that. I think also if we rethink this situation with pain management, because that's been a lot of our drug problem is displaced pain management patients.
Sure.
That we did not handle that well. No one in America handled that well. We have got to admit at some point we fucked that up.
Exactly.
We did nothing right in that situation to help people transition or to properly evaluate them and go, okay, risk reward here.
Right.
Like, okay, this is this is someone who is currently not showing any signs of improper medication use.
Yeah.
They have pain. Let's go ahead and continue as we are. And on the flip side, go, okay, you're showing abusive behavior. Let's evaluate that. Let's start working our way through that. Let's figure out what else we can do here. Instead, we just went, done.
Right.
Opioid problem, fine. You won't write any more scripts.
Yeah, and I will share my story. I was on Lortab 7.5 twice a day. And I took them like clockwork. One day I had a prescription for Lortab 7.5 twice a day. The next day, I had a prescription for over-the-counter ibuprofen. They don't equate. That's a drug substitute.
Right. Well, and I can definitely understand Brenda and the issues I've had with my neck. Now, I can somewhat say the second time, thankfully, the pain wasn't as bad as the first time. And we've talked about that a little bit on past shows. I don't know if we've done that since we went to video, but I've had 2 neck surgeries. The first one was a C5, C6. The second one is a C6, C7. Pain-wise, the C6, C7, I honestly, that wasn't why I was at the doctor. That was a surprise discovery to me. I knew I had some numbness and tingling for the C6, C7. Wasn't that bad. Wasn't having a lot of pain. And honestly, all the way through, I didn't need pain meds. Like, they sent me home with some after surgery, and quite frankly, it fucked me up too much to take. Because they were trying to do low dose, higher frequency, which not with the med they were putting me on. That doesn't work. That just makes you feel really, really bad. But regardless, now the first time, the problem I did have is that I literally, my body could not have picked a worse time to rupture a disc. Because right as I'm going in with this problem is right when the opioid epidemic exploded.
Right.
And doctors were now looking at everyone like a drug addict. Everyone is just, med seeking. No one has pain. No one's in pain. No one needs these meds. People are just, crazy.
Right.
And the first time in that whole process, well, there were 2 points in the process in which I actually felt like I was getting real, like, empathy for my situation. Was the last 2 weeks before my surgery, in which a nurse is looking through all the things we've done and the fact that I'm scheduled for surgery. And she's going, "Oh my God, do you need pain meds?" And I'm like, I don't want to sound drug seeking, but yes! Because I keep, literally, I'm at a point in my life that I have to keep calling this a 9. And we've had that conversation, is I called my pain level a 9. For the simple reason of a 9 meant there was something worse. I could imagine a worse pain. Somewhere, somehow, possibly, there was a worse pain. Because that was the only thing that kept me from buying drugs illegally. That is the only thing that kept me from turning to street drugs. I was in a lot of pain. I had to convince myself there was a worse level of pain that this could go to so that I could back off that thought process. Like, I literally tried to think my way out of pain. And convinced myself that, no, there's a 10. There's something else that's worse.
Right.
Second time I got any kind of validation was after my surgery, when my doctor had done this surgery. Because even my doctor my surgeon at that point going into surgery was kind of like, I don't know what we're really hoping to accomplish here, until he opened me up. And then the levels of problems that I had and what all he had to do to clean that up, he literally looked at me after surgery and he said, "Why didn't you call this a 10, 1? And how in the hell did you function?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "I had to clean out what looked like a serrated edge knife worth of bone spurs, completely surrounding nerve ending, or nerve bundles. I don't know how you could stand it." And I was literally in that bed just about on the verge of tears, because that was the first time I really felt validated in that process. That, like, no, seriously, this friggin' hurts. And it hurt for over 18 months of being given allergy medications and Mobic and gabapentin and steroid injections and steroid packs. And nothing is really working.
No, nothing. Nothing fixed that pain. And here's the thing. West Virginians, especially our legislators, need to get a clue. Your population in this state
has worked really hard.
Exhausted. Has been used by industries like the coal companies, by industries like the medical professionals, hospitals, you name it, nursing homes, whatever, has been used and is hurting now, and was misled to believe that the companies were still going to be here and back them, and, you're set for life, and, oh, you're hurt, we'll take care of you. No, they don't. And now, there's an opioid epidemic. No, there is a pain management epidemic in this coal country,
Mm.
especially West Virginia, treat the pain, stop the pain management clinics, treat it with
Well,
real
stop the pill mills.
stop the pill
Like,
mill.
stop the pill mills. We
Yeah.
get that part. And we're not sitting here saying in this moment, and I never want anyone to get that impression from me, is that the only choice you have are drugs. Please definitely, seek out other methods of treatment. Try everything else.
Mm-hmm.
But
massage.
Quit treating people in pain like they're just drug addicts. They're just seeking drugs. That's not what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it isn't. It really, truly isn't. Yes, there are some people that just want to get high.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that. And I understand that as a problem. I also don't think you're understanding that there are a lot of people hurting.
Right. That are just trying to go to the grocery store, just trying to sweep their floors, just trying to take care of their children,
just trying not to put a gun in their mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the level of pain some people are in, is this starts becoming a very serious threat to their continued living.
Mm-hmm.
Pain is associated with depression, as well as people can be in so much pain, physical pain, that with that depression comes the point of, this is never going to end and I can't take this anymore.
And it gets to the point that people do not get it. They do not get, doctors don't get it because they don't, our earlier story that we were talking about, if that was Dr. What do you call Dr.?
We call him a few different names. Sometimes we refer to him as Dr. Dumbass, and sometimes we refer to him as Dr. Anal Leakage. Either way, and there's reasons for both.
By chance got a little swivelly with his scalpel.
Yeah, if a screw had slipped and he had punctured a glove, I don't think he would have gotten past the OR doors without his, here's your script for prep or for PEP.
Right.
Like, this is a major incident. Yeah.
Yeah. It needs to be for everybody that's in that profession. Mm-hmm. Everybody that's in the medical field. Everybody that deals with needles, piercing items, everyone that deals with sharps should be out there. Should be.
Well, more importantly, how is this so hard? How is it so hard? How is it so hard to understand? How is it so hard to get? How is it that we have gotten to 2020? 4 decades of HIV and AIDS in the world.
And benefits.
I was born into a world. I've never lived in a world without HIV and AIDS. Just pointing this out. That's how long I've been alive. That's how long this has been here. And we can't get through a simple protocol.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. Not that hard. It's very simple. What happened? Stuck myself. Possible blood transfer.
Exactly.
Awesome. Here's your scripts. Let's do your blood work.
It ain't hard. And what ain't also ain't hard is treating people like humans. It ain't hard at all. Now, Mitch McConnell did get a wake-up call this morning at 6 a.m. I personally think he should have gotten a wake-up call at 4:12 a.m. this morning.
Okay.
And if you don't know the significance of 4:12 a.m., do your research. Google it yourself.
Okay.
Wake him up. Wake up these elected officials. I'm sorry. I've seen riots and I have seen protests within the past 2 weeks. This one I like.
Okay.
Take it to his home turf. He wants to, block legislation, block measures to help this country. He wants to, and has, let bills die. The $2,000 a month checks that was mailed to stimulate and hold up our economy and not force us back to work sooner than we should be, he blocked. The bills for reform, he's already said he's going to block. 412 sounds like a great time that he can start waking up every morning. Whether he's at his apartment in D.C. or he's at his home in Louisville.
Okay, so I missed this story, apparently. Let's fill everyone in, including myself.
Black Lives Matter protested outside Mitch McConnell's house this morning at 6 a.m.
Nice.
No justice, no sleep. Guys do it at 412. He's used to that hour.
Okay. I'm not getting the reference. I will have to Google later.
Yes, do your research.
Okay. Alrighty. So at an hour and 45, where are we now? Do we have a next story?
No, I
think we have a next question.
On my top yet. We're going great.
Woohoo! It is a wonderful Friday night.
Yeah. Hope you guys have enjoyed. We definitely got some articles to look up and to research. But also, since, Aaron's watching and I'm hoping others watch, start talking. We've got voting going on. We've got people we've not even heard from before, heard where they're standing at, know who you're voting for. We've got places like Fairmont that are sitting empty. We now are going to have Bluefield sitting empty except for their ER.
Yep.
You tell me what this area, what the state needs most, and is mental health.
Yeah.
Why are these hospitals not opening this up? I mean, it's a guaranteed check.
And more importantly, we need actual mental health in this state. I will go ahead and out myself just a little bit. I have been trying for years and have only recently succeeded in finding a setup that will actually, apparently, we're still fingers crossed, pair me with the right treatment, the right diagnosis, and actually work with me. Because I keep getting bounced around systems in which I find a counselor that gets the diagnosis portion correctly, but can't handle anything else because they're not affiliated with the right doctor or the right clinic. So then here's the right clinic, but they don't offer any of the counseling services. And that's becoming a common problem throughout West Virginia, is we are taking a medicate and see once every few months approach to mental health. Is that we're going to throw, oddly enough, we're going to throw drugs at the problem and hope that it all fixes itself.
Right.
And if you don't like the drugs, here's group therapy. Go talk about all your issues in group therapy.
Or referring, and I've seen this. Have a problem? Oh, there's a 12-step program for it. It's called AA. Go do that. I don't have a problem drinking. I have a problem. No, go do that one, because the other ones aren't around. And I don't want to see you once a week, an hour a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, we've talked about it a little bit. I have some anxiety issues, and there's some other stuff there. Nothing like I'm not scary mental health.
Right.
I'm, high, a large percentage of the population. So I will out myself.
Right.
Like I think silence breeds stigma, and stigma breeds problems, and lots of suffering and lost lives and people suffering needlessly. Right. So, hi, a person who needs mental health.
A lot of people need mental health. A lot of people cope. A lot of people find coping mechanisms. There are resources.
And some of those coping mechanisms are really bad for you.
Yes. He isn't participating in any of them for all those concerned ones. He's doing very well with his stuff.
This is it. This is my worst thing I can do. A bit neurotic. Would you call me a bit neurotic?
Honey, I would classify you classic anxiety with OCD tendencies and possibly some PCSD with maybe a touch of neuroticism. But that's just because of how that's old programming that first your counselor has to work through, and then we'll look at life coaching and see what we can do with that.
Well, there you go.
Right.
But no, this has been a long, hard struggle, and it's included a lot of really bad, crappy services.
Right. Well, me, I had to go through 52 doctors and literally got one in residency that would accept me because I have pain management problems.
Well, or moreover, you have issues that would lead one to think you're going to be a drug-seeking patient.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's all they can imagine this is going to turn into.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you're not understanding.
Yeah. You know, I have RA and refuse the biologicals, and I think we're up to 8 herniated discs now.
Something in there, yeah.
Yeah, we went from 5 to 8 in a matter of 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's some issues there. And, yeah. So, I don't know. I guess I am a bit neurotic. You know.
It's okay, honey. You still can't get a 90-day vacation like I can.
Well, there you go. But yeah, no, I'm not a big fan of the way we treat mental health, that we treat people seeking mental health, that we treat people using mental health. I literally hate this.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, fine. You know, like, you just need to get educated. Realistically, all of us have some issues.
Yeah.
Welcome to the human condition. Oh, believe me, don't feel bad. No, got over that a long time ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I still have issues with like the way like that like mental health services have treated me. I don't necessarily care anymore so much how other people view it. It's like, hi, I'm doing what I need to do for me because well, quite frankly, let's just go there. I'm tired of kicking him in the balls. Literally.
Among other things, yeah, he has night terrors. Brenda says that she has a friend in Canada with RA and other issues. Sent him for weekly meditation meetings instead of upping his meds. Well, Brenda, I average about 45 minutes to 2 hours a day of meditation, depending on how much the stress is, and I feel sorry for him.
Yeah.
One, he needs. I done told him Canada's too cold for me to function unless he wants to get me a lovely chair. And I want one that's more than a little jet around. I want one that actually can climb the steps. If you guys have seen those, they're fabulous. And yeah, meditation doesn't help. It helps anxiety. It helps stress. It helps tiredness. Now, yoga, I am playing with under the suggestions of my massage therapist, which, by the way, massage therapy, oh my God. Now, granted, he's a medical massage therapist. He's not the spa massage therapist. But any form of that needs to become like a weekly thing for your friend if it isn't already. I'm seeing Dr. Gross, a chiropractor. His massage therapist is Eric Williams, and his schedule's booked, but I swear I feel 100% better after the day after the massage. No, 2 days after the massage, I feel 100% better.
Yeah, the day of is a little bit of a and the next day is a little bit oofed.
Yeah.
But then somewhere towards the end of that, though, you start like coming back online and things. Because it's not like you leave there feeling bad. It's that it's more so in that whole process, like some things get stretched and moved around and the pain shows up a little. Like things hurt a little. Day of torture.
It feels to me like if you're thinking breath, for me, it's the day I exhale.
Oh yeah, full exercises I can definitely understand.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And also, it's very important. Now, granted, I will not be doing this until our COVID level goes down, but physical exercise in a gym, not walking, hit that aerobic pull exercises, weight benches, weight strengthening, making your muscles move as they're supposed to. I find helps a lot too. Increase water intake. And also, he needs to be monitoring his sugar. There is an connected dot right now with RA and diabetes. They run together, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not so much medical advice, but your experience.
Pure experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. And that's basically where we are.
Unless our viewers have anything they want us to comment on, believe me, we
or
got
any questions you want to ask.
Yeah, not just psychic.
Well, while we're waiting for those to pop in, of course, we want to thank Beverly Walker and the Crystal Lotus Shop for being our Patreon supporters. And if you would like to also support the show, you can go to PCSPnetwork.com and do that. There are lovely links for Patreon. There are 3 different support levels, and we will be getting out our first newsletter. So we deeply apologize to both Beverly and the Crystal Lotus Shop. More so Beverly. Crystal Lotus Shop has just recently signed up, so they are this would be their first monthly letter anyway. But yeah, COVID-19 hit, our world got crazy. It's been a lot. So yeah.
Yes. Shannon, sure, if you'd like to drop off some stuff, that's fine. Bring it to either Joe or me. Don't be upset that we're unmasked. We're going to be unmasked all day.
Not in.
In.
Yeah. Just making sure it's clear. Yeah.
So I won't be wearing much of anything tomorrow, maybe a moisturizer at best, but definitely I'd love to try some of the stuff you were showing off. And Mika, yes, I do provide birth charts. They are on my website in my store. So I will put a link to the store into the thing.
Yeah. And Shannon definitely understands. Y'all are going to mess me up. That's all it is. I pointed out you were mispronouncing your name. Now you do it correctly, and it's messing me up. Anyway, but back to Mika really quickly. Yes, there's the numerology charts, the birth charts, and compatibility charts, which are birth charts that are cross-compared for relationships up to and including multiple partners.
Yep. So there's the link for that. That's directly there. There's other reports. There's other things that I've launched. We've launched bath salts line that's listed there for you to order. We will have some of them at the store tomorrow.
And they're actual bath salts. I swear to God, if you try to get high off of them, you're just going to have a really bad nothing. Like you're going to smell a lot of rose oil and lavender or taste it.
Do not ingest my bath salts. Do not ingest the bath salts.
Yeah.
That could be problematic.
Well, West Virginia had a big problem with that. So I want to draw attention to the fact that they're not that kind.
They're not that kind. These are for purpose uses.
Yes.
But of course, there's Aeson store. You can always get everything Aeson at aesonknight.com. Within the next coming weeks, we will be taking some of the online classes we've done and launching them into self-study classes. So yeah, it's going to be a busy couple months. Hopefully, I am only doing direct appearances. I will not be doing any festivals or anything fairs like that. Because it's just not the right time, guys.
Yeah.
Please be safe. Wash your hands. Hand sanitizer. Oh, do you have your bottle there?
I do.
I wanted to show you guys this.
Like, this messed him up so much today. Because what does it look like? Like, hold on. If you're just looking at it like this, what do you see? Come on. I know we got girls. We got girls. They do hair. We have to have one hair girl.
Yes, it looks like hairspray. It isn't. It's hand sanitizer. Swab switched out, turned up the alcohol level, and made hand sanitizer.
Yes. I know. We were sitting, and you know, my first response on this will probably be the first version of this damn spray nozzle that doesn't get clogged.
And no, I didn't spray my hair with it. I did, however, buy 2 bottles of it. I was looking for hand sanitizer for the shop tomorrow because we have our own stuff that we use here, and we've got soap that we use here, but I wanted to have hand sanitizer in mass available at the shop. Even if CLS already has them, I will have my own supply. And I saw that and I was like, I will take 2 of those because they weren't even put on the shelf yet.
Oh yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy the stuff we're seeing right now.
I know.
Like, it really is. Like, it's like, because seriously, you set it down and I was like, I thought you hated that hairspray.
Yeah, because I'm an Aquanet boy. I will always be an Aquanet boy. We buy my Aquanet in Morgantown because it's at the Target there, because I'm the
Oh, sorry, I was reading Shannon's comment. Oh, God, that's bad. That's so bad. Mistaking your mace for hairspray. Oops.
What?
Oops.
Is my comment, because I'm thinking of the mace I used to carry.
They made but there was a point they made this stupid little, and they were almost identical.
Yeah.
The hairspray, like the little travel hairsprays, for like quick touch up. You know, it's a little more windy than you imagined. Like, you're trying to hold that helmet hair in place in a hurricane, and it's just starting to wobble. What? You know, at least one woman like that. Don't tell me you don't.
Not just women, honey.
There are guys too. That is very true.
Yes.
Like, that one hair just started to move a little, and they got to nail it down. Like, no. Like, they may be flown through the air by this storm, but by God, they're going to fall with perfect hair.
Exactly. That's the point of real Aquanet. But I was thinking when I read the comment of the bear mace that I used to carry, and I'm like, oh my God, you're right. It's the same container again. Because my bear mace is about this tall, and granted, the spray thing's different. But I could see making that problem.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I could see that as you're like going into work, you're meeting friends for lunch, you're going on a date, and you're just in the car, and you're just like, yeah. Oh my God. I can't imagine.
Definitely.
Oh God. Yeah. Ouch. That, like, yeah, that's the perfect line for that, is ouch. Yeah. Ouch. Oh.
And Brenda, I agree. The old Aquanet. Now you've got to watch. You want the purple one, not the baby blue one. The baby blue one won't hold you through a rainstorm. The purple Aquanet will hold through a hurricane in gale force winds and still not mess up. Your hair will look perfect the next day.
For those who like the bird's nest look.
Honey, do I ever have bird's nest? Do I ever have bird's nest? I can just tussle my hair like this and be done.
No, every once in a while you get a bird's nest in the back.
Okay.
That's what happens in the mornings when you do your hair and then you fall asleep on the way.
Yeah.
I hate to tell you, but you get to the shop and you got a little bird's nest back here. We don't tell you because we love you. But it's there. It's there. Oh gosh, she was getting ready for church. Oh no!
I want to bring up If you are sprayed with pepper spray, if you are sprayed with mace, if you are sprayed with tear gas, milk.
Yeah.
Pour milk, not water. Water is going to infuriate it. Milk, people. So if you're
Yep.
protesting, take a gallon.
Basically, at this point, which shouldn't be a thing, but it is. Melting ink off skin.
Yeah.
Oh, for the hairspray?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, see, I also know it is a great way to paint over literally anything. Like you got kids marking on the wall, you think that stuff's going to show through, just hairspray the hell out of it. Aquanet the fuck.
Yep. And
Just
also, out of finishing spray, Aquanet. It's a lovely one.
Baking soda and water for tear gas. I don't know.
Another solution.
Okay.
I've never used that one. I've used the milk before.
Okay.
Yep. All right, guys. We have an early start in the morning, but
Yes,
good night. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Thanks for joining us. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also, feel free to comment or send us news articles throughout the week you want us to talk about. We will definitely put them into our list.
Absolutely.
Good night, y'all. Good night, Joe.
Good night.